Pepper. Couple guys with some gray in their beard balling out. Fourth quarter inside three coverage breakdown. Pat Freiermuth going in for his second of the night. After the PAT, Raj and Co. up 1. We were far from finished. Steelers defense, a sieve on Thursday night. Joe Flacco taking full advantage, lays one out there for T. Higgins, and oh, the selflessness. Slides down, knows the situation. Bengals drain as much clock as they can and set up Evan McPherson for a chip shot. Bengals lead 33-31, but 7 ticks. Now after a quick completion, A-Raj, gotta let it ride 70 yards in the air. The 41-year-old still got it like that, but it's batted down. A prayer goes unanswered, and Flacco outduels Rodgers in the battle of 40-somethings. Cincinnati back in the win column, a massive victory as they await the other Joe. In studio, it's to assess. We say hello, Emery Hunt, alongside Bryant McFadden, here to offer thoughts, and we don't have to go there just yet. I want this to start on a celebratory note of both of these gentlemen, 41 and 40 years old, a combined 54 of 81, 591 yards and 7 touchdowns through the air. Emery Hunt on a Thursday night on a short week. This is the good stuff. Those are 2 great quarterbacks showing out right now.
Yeah, and they stepped up big in the biggest moment. We are all watching this ball game as a country, and we're watching 2 guys play their best when everyone is watching, showing you that age is just a number. And I like the fact that they not only played well statistically, but they played well situationally also. You talk about third downs offense, red zone offense. They were excelling in those situations, need to have it situations. This is where they also excelled as well. So you like that they went out there, balled out statistically, but balled out when their team needed the most. Joe Flacco had just a little bit more than Aaron Rodgers.
Mike Tomlin tried to warn us. Some folks were saying, why is Mike Tomlin hating on Cincinnati? Why is he worried about what type of transactions Cincinnati and Cleveland they had going on? He knew it. He knew it, and he said he didn't understand. It didn't make any sense. And most importantly, it was all about Cincinnati being next on the schedule. Because you can say whatever you want to say about Joe Flacco and where he is in this stage in his career, he still is more than a serviceable quarterback, considering high-level resources surrounding him. And that's what he walked into when he became a Cincinnati Bengal. What we saw last week for Joe on the road, basically 6 days being in place there in Cincinnati, was basically the acclimation period for him, getting accustomed to the playbook and his new pass catchers. What we saw tonight was, I'm acclimated now. And all I have to do is just stand upright in the pocket and deliver the goods. And I have the guys that can come down with those said goods at any given time. And that's what he did. Remember what I talked about with my prop for Jamar Chase? I said one thing about Joe Flacco, he is going to target Jamar Chase. Remember, he gave Jamar Chase 12 targets straight off the bus coming into Cincinnati. So what were you expecting for Jamar Chase tonight? Easily surpassing his reception prop. We saw that maybe in the first half. So when Joe Flacco did, to Emery's point, he was just comfortable and he was wheeling and dealing. And when anything was in question, guess who he looked for? Number 1. And you know what? That's what every quarterback should do when you're playing in the same huddle as Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. And when in doubt, look for 1.
I will say this, Joe. You know who, we talk about a lot about Joe Flacco's age and Aaron Rodgers' age. You know who looked old tonight? Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay.
Yeah.
Flacco looked younger than those guys, how they played.
And that's where I'd like to go next year after we do offer some accolade here to Jamar Chase in the win, his 16 receptions, the most in franchise history. So not just going over that prop, but going over any receptions that anyone in that jersey has ever done before. He does it here on a short week with a 40-year-old quarterback. Mac, that is the what of it all. I'm more interested in the how and the why. Talk to me as a former Steelers defender about the standard you did not see met in this game. You get run on by the worst rushing attack in the NFL for 142 yards through the air. It was anything he wanted. Where are the breakdowns right now?
Well, let's start with the guys that put their hand in the dirt, in the trenches. You talked about it. Chase Brown came into this game tonight averaging around 2 yards per carry. Every opposing defense that played against Cincinnati neutralized the running game totally. But Chase Brown tonight, guys, he averaged 9.8 yards per carry. He averaged a first down.
First down.
Time he touched the football. 9.8. Then outside of the running game led by Chase Brown, talk about the comfort that Joe Flacco had to work from within. He got sacked in the first quarter, then he got sacked in the fourth quarter. Outside of that, no one came close to Joe Flacco. He went through every progression that was there in the route tree that led to him throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He averaged over 7 yards per throw. You know what that tells all of us? He never was rushed. He was able to go through his drops, his reads, and deliver. That's the thing. When you average that type of number per throw, you're comfortable. You're not rushing. So that's the issue that I have when you talk about the Steelers defensively, when you talk about the communication errors in the second and the third level. It starts and it stops with the guys that put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. What did we see from Pittsburgh last week against Dylan Gabriel? They beat him up. And when they beat him up, they took out the running game. One would have thought they would have had some of the same success we saw last week against a inconsistent offensive line unit by Cincinnati. But little did we know Cincinnati had a game plan in place, and they made sure they protected their 40-year-old quarterback to the best of their ability for him to be at his best.
I'm glad Mac uses the word comfortable, Emery, because comfort is one thing when you're being protected well. Comfort is another thing when it's a 7-on-7 and you're still trying to learn the offense. Man's been in that offense for 10 days. I know they're simplifying, but there's verbiage, there's computing power. We often overlook the ability of a quarterback to do that, especially at this age. We just assume that they're going to walk in and know exactly where to go when. Are you at all surprised of the level of comfort for Joe Flacco in this offense this early?
Not at all, because we saw him hit that bench route probably like 5 times in a row to Jamar Chase.
That's week 1 teach tape.
Exactly.
We all got that one. Yeah.
But what stood out to me the most, guys, was Orlando Brown, the left tackle, and Amaris Mims, the right tackle. Tip your caps to those guys because they held those edge rushers in check. We thought this was going to be a great party between T.J. Watt and Nate Herbig in the backfield. And, man, Amaris Mims, the young tackle, right tackle, did a fantastic job tonight. And quiet as kept, these two teams played the same game. Yeah. If we look at passing, rushing, red zone, third down, they were nearly identical. But what changed the game for Cincinnati was the 2 turnovers they were able to force. And also, you think back to when this game was 7-0, and it was at 4th and 1 in the second quarter, I believe. And Pittsburgh was going to go for it. They tried to go for it. They got a false start, had the backup, kick the field goal. It's 10-0. That right there ignited the comeback for the Cincinnati Bengals because they went right down the field and scored a touchdown, and then that's when we got the back-and-forth game between these two. So it shows you that, hey, we can compete with these guys. We can stop these guys. We saw their offense get confidence, and then we saw their defense get confidence and turn the ball over. They had many critical plays.
Yeah.
So Flacco doing his 111th was outstanding because once he realized, hey, my tackles are doing a great job, I got 2 number 1s, and the tight end Noah Fenton had a big day. Like, we're all about to eat, and everybody on that offense definitely got their mouths full with the food that he was delivering with that football going around the yard.
A master operator, and shows it once again as he goes for 300+, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's the 6th time in his career that he's done that, and he's done it with 4 different franchises. Mac, I want to finish with you and on a broader thought here for Pittsburgh because they're now 3-16 on Thursday nights away from home since 1970. This is usually the way that things go. Give me the why in that, but also we're looking at a team that is still the favorite to win their division, but has dropped from -160 up to +120. What does this mean in the grand scheme?
You know what? That first stat, it's just one of those funky stats, man, that just follow the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you don't really know it until you know it, right? When you throw out that stat, because Thursday night is a primetime game. And usually Mike Tomlin on primetime moments, he usually delivers wins. But, you know, I gave the number also during the pregame show. Mike Tomlin is 0-6 on the road on Thursday nights against AFC North opponents. He's 0-6 straight up on the road against AFC North opponents. So he's struggled in these moments, especially on the road on Thursday night. Remember last year Thursday night, Famous Jameis gave him an L on Thursday night in Cleveland. And remember, that Cleveland Browns team was nowhere close to being competitive or relevant. But in that moment on Thursday night in Cleveland, guess what? They wheeled and they dealed, and he found a way to come up with a huge, unexpected win. Similar to what we witnessed tonight with the Cincinnati Bengals. And because of this win for the Cincinnati Bengals, any thought they had in their minds before acquiring Joe Flacco, like this season is probably almost over, is now erased. Now they have a fighting chance. They have a fighting chance to get into the playoffs. You know why? Because they have a fighting chance to compete for the divisional title because of what happened tonight. But get this. Get this. Oh, there's a team that's currently in the midst of their bye week, and they were sitting home enjoying their family and their friends watching just like we were watching. And when they saw the final score, they perked up a little bit, probably started doing some abs in the living room or some push-ups and say, you know what? Let's get right, because this bye week can do a lot for us based on what happened tonight, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. I understand when you look at the Baltimore Ravens right now, they're 1-5. But because of what happened today, especially if they get a healthy Lamar Jackson back in the saddle, along with some of their healthy key players on the defensive side, now they believe they have a window of hope because of everything that took place in Cincinnati. I'm sorry, Cleveland. I won't mention anything about you guys because regardless of what happened tonight or tomorrow or the next day, it don't matter. Y'all season is disco dead. Y'all getting ready for 2026.
I will say this. I'm glad that we have moving pictures, motion pictures, because now we have context. If we can get that Pittsburgh Steelers schedule up once again, guys, back there, because when you look at these games that the Pittsburgh Steelers had during this season and some of those victories, we know what that Jets game looked like. We know what that Patriots game looked like with all those red zone turnovers. We saw what that Vikings game looked like